I'm going to explain this garden analogy that completely changed the way I think about social media, completely changed the way I think about building a brand. Because what I want to do is build a brand, the Soul Wealth brand. And basically what he explained to me is that most people's goal on social media when they build a brand is more people, more viewers. That reason for the more viewers is different amongst everyone. Maybe you want more viewers because you want to sell more of your product to make more money. Maybe you want more viewers because you want to have more influence, more control over your audience. Maybe you want more viewers because you really care about teaching and learning and serving. But whatever. It doesn't matter if the goal is whatever the reason the viewers are. Let's just say hypothetically, they're butterflies. And I have a net. So in this situation, my net is probably my podcast reels on Instagram and TikTok and whatever. And I'm like swinging at the viewers. I'm trying to catch more butterflies. Most people get to the point where they want a bigger net. They want a bigger net because a bigger net catches more butterflies. So me, let's say I want a bigger net. Hypothetically, there's a few things I could do. I could put my reels on more platforms, and then by having my reels on more platforms, I have a bigger net. Maybe I edit my videos in a way that gets more views. I try to make my net bigger. Maybe I become a better storyteller on my podcast. I try to make my net bigger. But what this guy said is that you don't want to focus on the net. What you want to focus on is the garden. The garden will attract the butterflies, and the butterflies will cross-pollute everything in the garden. So I'll give you a real-life example and a social media example. In the real life, you have Disneyland. Disneyland on the surface might look like a theme park, and it is, but it's a part of a garden. And the garden is surrounding the brand of Disney, and the brand of Disney in the middle is the movies. So there's these movies that create these characters. Out of these movies and these characters, they built a theme park. Everything in the theme park is based off the movies. Out of the movies, they built toys, they built Legos. Everything in the toys and the Legos are based off the movie, and they also sell the toys and the Legos in the theme park. So now the movies are promoting the toys, and they're promoting the theme park, and the theme park's promoting the toys, and the theme park is promoting the movies. And you could extend this even further out, and you could take Disney's app. They make shows. The shows also promote the toys. The shows also promote the theme park. They promote the movies, everything. It's one big garden where everything cross-pollinates. I'll give you another example, social media. Let's take Jake Paul. You can be a fan of Jake Paul as a vlogger, a YouTuber. You can be a fan of Jake Paul as a boxer. You can be a fan of Jake Paul for his betting company. You can be a fan of Jake Paul for PFL, the fighter league he's made. You can be a fan of Jake Paul for the podcast he's been on. So there's numerous reasons to be a fan of Jake Paul, but everything is connected by him as a person, and they each cross-promote each other. That's why before every fight, he's wearing his clothes for his better brand. So by doing his fight, he's promoting his gambling company, even though they're completely different worlds. And so that completely changed my opinion as a business, because I'm just like, oh, how do I make the bigger net to get podcast listeners? But now I'm like, I don't want to focus so much on the net. The net is important, but what I really want is the garden. And it also helps me to accomplish more of my mission, because I think of myself as a Christian, and my ultimate goal is to bring people to God. But I don't want a Christian podcast. I will talk about God on my podcast, but I want it to reach atheists and plant those seeds. But now, knowing what I know now, I know that I can do something completely different. Maybe I have a Christian YouTube channel, and I have a fitness channel, and I have this podcast, and they each are connected by me being the Soul Wealth brand. And now I can bring people to God. So a great example of this is Alex Eubank. He is a fitness creator. He's a young LA athlete. He has a podcast all about God. So he brings all these people in for fitness. They don't care about God, or it's not their top priority. And they grow to love Alex's personality in the vlog. They grow to love him because they respect him as a lifter, a fitness YouTuber. And then they go, oh, I want to try out his podcast. They hear him talking about God, and now he's serving his mission of bringing people to God while also making money and building a brand. And I know I just ranted forever about that, but and I don't know what the question here is, but I guess I more so want your thoughts on this garden analogy and elaborating on it, because I think you have a lot to add here.
It's real. I've been in what I would say is the top 1% in a few things in life. And that's always been how it works. And creating the garden is you're creating what the butterflies want. It's just exactly what I was explaining earlier, where there's supply and demand. So you see the demand, like the target audience is the butterfly. Figure out what they want. You create it, then it naturally comes to you. Then you can sell them whatever you want. The same idea.
I think, too, but yeah, I think too though the plus of having multiple things that the butterflies want is that it not only is opportunities to hit different audience. So for like example, the people who like boxing might find out about Jake Paul are not the same people who like Jake Paul as a vlogger. So those reach two completely different worlds, but they still build the Jake Paul brand. But I think the reason that that's such a powerful thing, other than the fact that it reaches different audiences, is that it allows a viewer to connect with you on multiple deeper levels. So if I like Alex because he's a fitness creator, and then I watch his vlogs and I think he's funny and I like his personality, well, now I respect him as a fitness creator and I also like him for his personality. And then I go listen to his podcast and I find out he's a Christian. Well, dude, I'm like an Alex Eubank mega fan. Not because I'm some fanboy, because there's so many levels that I connect with him on. I go to the gym all the time. I love fitness. I love building brand. There's so many different areas for me to connect on him. Now I'm a super fan of him. So that's like another plus of building like the multiple sections of the garden. And the one section is that each section should attract the butterflies rather than just trying to catch them. I don't know.
Yeah. Here, I'll give you another example. So something I was really, really good at that I actually never even made public. It's not super public, but I was extremely good at finding abandoned places. I would only publish the ones that I knew would get a lot of views. But there was a community for this, and I was extremely good at what I did within that community. And you guys don't care, but people say if you want to find like all these cool abandoned places if you want to find all these cool abandoned places that people travel to, then you need to search Google Maps and like spend all day like trying to in this circumstance like chase the abandoned places. You gotta go on Google Maps, search all day, try to find these places. But in reality, I would actually attract them. Like I was the garden. So I figured out where abandoned places were. And the abandoned places came to me. That sounds crazy. But I figured out what my target audience was, and I figured out where they like to go. So let's say I figured out I wanted to find an abandoned mansion. All right, where does an abandoned mansion want to go on the internet? Like somewhere I can find it. Oh, an abandoned mansion likes to go on Zillow underneath foreclosed homes or underneath lots for sale that have a home on the property that's about to be destroyed. So I don't actually have to spend time searching for the abandoned place. I just go on Zillow for 1 second and there's new listings of abandoned properties every day, and just no one even thinks about how to find it. But in reality, other people are listing and it just comes to me. I just literally just go on my computer, refresh the page, and it just pops up.
So that's really interesting because...
So Zillow was the garden for this example, but like, and then I just went in the garden.
Yeah, I don't know if I would agree with that last part, because I don't think the garden is what attracts butterflies, and Zillow is not attracting butterflies.
No, Zillow is, because there's so many eyeballs on it that people want to sell their properties on there.
Yeah, but not in the case of like what you're talking about. Like,
well, the mansion is the butterfly.
Yeah. Okay. So you're getting like multi-layered with this, which is
Yeah.
deep. I also think though too that you could even further expand this analogy, because I bet like you're saying, oh, these places come to you,
Yeah.
because I think that is more of an analogy for what we were talking about earlier, which was serving the audience, or in this situation, your target audience is the mansion, and you're thinking, if I were an abandoned mansion, where would I be on the internet?
Yeah.
And so I would, in my opinion, this is even more about like understanding the target audience than it is the garden, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say is, I bet once you have a couple like abandoned places videos pop off, you probably have a bunch of kids in your DMs being like, dude, check out this place, check out this place. So then the places are literally coming to you, because
That's a good example, but that actually rarely happens.
really
Very rarely. Like, I found everything myself.
interesting. But I'm sure in other niches that would happen a lot more. I see it. Are you familiar with the old Dylan Dennis, Logan Paul
Yeah.
stuff right now?
Yeah.
So Dylan Dennis is getting like 5 million views of a tweet, like 10 million views of tweet, and he's just basically making fun of Logan Paul's wife. And he knows that everyone in his fan base wants to keep seeing him making fun of Logan Paul's wife. And basically what he does is he found a few, and I don't like think like it's a really class thing to make someone fun of someone's wife, but I do think that he is capitalizing on what we're talking about, in the sense that he posted a photo of Logan Paul's wife. Everyone thought it was hilarious. It got 10 million views. And then he goes in the replies, sees that someone made an edit of Logan Paul's wife, and he literally just takes it and posts it. And he just looks at the most liked reply, just takes it and posts it. And everyone's like, oh, this is so funny. And then his audience makes his next tweet, and he takes it and posts it. And it's like, and everyone keeps going, well, when's he going to run out of content? When's he going to run out of content? It's like, well, as long as he just keeps looking at the
Yeah.
replies.
So, like, also, like, when I made TikTok videos,
Yeah.
like, I would read the comments and figure out why people commented. And then
Yeah.
I would make sure they commented that on the next video, too. And I would just stack it up. Make sure they have so much stuff to engage with and comment with on every single video.